We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly here from Pluckers, the West Campus location in Austin. Time for you to get to meet one of the Longhorn players. Like I said, this is a guy that you've not been able to see on the floor yet. There's a specific reason for that, and Shaka, I'll let you handle the introduction.
Good to have Brock Cunningham here, a pride of Westlake High School. As you mentioned, he's redshirting for us this year, but really a big part of our program. Excited to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Brock, let me get your thoughts on this. I want both of you to talk about this. Whenever we have a student athlete on, we talk about the recruiting process. And then there's guys, obviously, from all different parts of this country. I mean, Kamako was with us last week, so you're talking Alaska, and we've talked about other guys from different parts of the country. You're from right here in town. Let me get it from your perspective, how you viewed Texas and Coach Smart during the recruiting process. And then, Shock, I wanted to get your philosophy on recruiting local guys as opposed to beyond the boundaries of the city limits. Let me start with you, Brian.
As the recruitment process for me happened, being a local kid, it was super easy because I always wanted to be here. I think it was a month between Coach Smart offering me a scholarship and me actually deciding to come here. And, throughout the whole process, I knew it was a place that I really wanted to be.
Now, and also, by the way, I mean, with your dad, being here and everything in the past, how much did that play into it?
It didn't play into it as much as people think. He wanted what was best for me, but being close was a huge plus in his eyes because he knew the benefits of staying close to home and having that.
Sure. Now, Shaka, I heard one time it was a football coach we were talking about recruiting, and he mentioned about how it's a double-edged sword when you recruit a local kid because, people want you to recruit the local kid because he's really doing well. But if it doesn't work out, then it's like, oh, well, he just recruited him because he was in the backyard. And then if you don't recruit the local kid and he goes somewhere else and stars, it's like, how could they miss it? He was right under his nose, that kind of thing. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword there.
No question. Well, I think you just have to get guys, whether they're local or whether they're from thousands of miles away, that are a good fit for your program. And as we got to know Brock and continue to watch him play, we saw a guy with great toughness. We saw a guy who was a very competitive player. We saw a guy that, was able to make his team win, both at the high school level and also with his AAU team. And, he constantly, when he was matched up, and this is more so in AAU, with guys that maybe were taller or more athletic or whatever it was, Brock would win that battle. And so he's a guy that he gets a lot out of his physical capabilities. He's very talented. One thing, don't let him, fool you with this straight face. He definitely has, of the guys in the team, probably the biggest sense of humor. He's always joking around, so don't let him be all serious on the show.
Yeah, and I've heard that sense of humor extends to the fact you've given him grief about, did you really recruit me, or were you recruiting Will Baker and I just happened to be along for the ride on this deal? Is that how that went?
No, I don't think so. That's a funny way to think about it, though.
Yeah, and the sense of humor notwithstanding, I know one thing, Shaka, you've been pleased with his work ethic, and sometimes, and again, this goes to a conversation I had with a coach where I've heard that coach say, there's good redshirt years and there are bad redshirt years or not good redshirt years. If a young man knows he's going to redshirt, he might not put forth everything you need him to put forth to help accent his development. And I know you feel that hadn't been the case here.
No, Brock's really worked. He's really worked. He's spent a lot of extra time with the coaches. He's spent a lot of time with Coach Roos. He's on the famous Versa Climber program that some of our guys have done in the past that's really transformed their bodies and their motors and the way that they are able to give multiple efforts on the floor. So he's really done a good job taking advantage of it.
All right, tell everybody about your experiences with Coach Roos. We're talking about Daniel Roos, strength coach in the Versa Climber and everything that you've gone through with that.
The Versa Climber is brutal. It's a
in a word.
It's a 18-week program where it conditions your heart to work at different paces and for a longer period of time.
So tell folks exactly what you do when you're doing this.
I don't know if the audience knows what it is, but it's a machine where you're using your full body for 9 3-minute sprints or 8-minute goes at a time, and it just really wears you out. You're probably going for about 30, 35 minutes every session.
Is anything like elliptical stuff just more intense, more? I guess what's the best way to describe it?
It's climbing. I mean, your feet are on pedals, and your hands are on handles. So while your legs are moving, your arms are moving, and as he mentioned, there's different days. One of the days, the hardest day, is the sprint day. So they just got done last week doing either 9 or 10 3-minute rounds. So it's literally 3 minutes straight, as fast as you can go. Then you get a minute to rest. That's it, and then 3 minutes again, and you do that 10 times. So it's a heck of a program, and it's all designed to help guys, again, when they get on the basketball court, recover quicker and be able to give multiple efforts for longer.
What did you think when you first started on it?
I didn't think it would get this hard. You know, Dio and Elijah said that it was brutal, and I just thought, you know,
how brutal can it be?
Yeah,
right?
how brutal could it be? And now I'm starting to realize what they meant.
It's one of those things, though, Craig. It's as hard as you make it. So if you're a competitor like Brock is, it's really, really hard. There are certain targets that the strength coaches set for these guys to go get. Brock does a great job of going after that and exceeding that. And then once you've been doing it for a certain while, the margin for error gets even smaller because there's not a lot of space in between your target and, like, even if you were going 100% the whole time. So there's nowhere to hide on that thing.
So how long have you been doing that particular thing?
I think we're in our 7th week.
Okay, so would you say that now in your 7th week, you actually like it?
No.
You hated it day one and you hate it right now,
Yeah,
right? Is that what you're saying?
I enjoy the benefits that are coming out of it because
Okay.
I already noticed my wind on the court is better.
Yeah.
But having to do it before practice or after a lift is, you know, not the most desirable situation.
The best time, the only time really you like it is when you get done. There's definitely a sense of satisfaction.
Yep. Okay.
I did the program a couple years ago, so you know, I don't know that I'll ever do it again. I promise you that. But it's good for our players to at least go through once.
I think I do remember you saying one time, I would not want my players to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And everybody's seen what you've done on the practice floor with the loose ball drills and all of that. But would you say that this is probably about as difficult a thing as that the players do that you have done?
Over time, yeah, just because it's, as he mentioned, it's a long, long time, and it gets progressively harder over time. And especially with the sprint days, you know going in that it's going to be extremely hard. And again, it's what you make it. So you could not go as hard and not get as good at numbers, but the way that Brock is competitive, the way that most of us that do it are competitive, we're trying to be the best you can be.
All right, we're not done yet with Brock Cunningham. We got more coming up as Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart continues in a moment. To Rainey, driving baseline, stops, pumps, out to Mitru Long, shot fake, now he'll fire up a three, good! That one by Elijah Mitru Long gives Texas its first lead of the night, and it forces Bill Self to call a timeout. We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly. Texas taking the lead on that Elijah Mitru Long three-pointer. We're here with Brock Cunningham, and I know you can shoot from outside, but do you get impressed with how guys like Eli and Jace and Snoop can hit threes and hit them with the kind of regularity that they have this season?
Yes, sir. Having guys that can shoot the three like they can is a huge threat to be able to get into the paint and, work through our bigs. And with them stretching out the court at the consistency that they do has been a huge help for our offense.
Now, we mentioned the fact that you're going through a redshirt year, and we talked a little bit about it from a coaching perspective with Coach Smart when he was on with us a moment ago. What about you? Dealing with it, you were such a competitor. You're so used to playing basketball at a high level, going through it all. I remember visiting with Eli last year, and he talked about the challenge that you have inside because you want to be out there and you want to be contributing, knowing you're still going through, in his case, the transfer process, in your case, the redshirt process. What has that all been like for you?
It's been a struggle for sure. Because coming in, I was used to playing significant minutes, being a huge contribution to the team. and this year having to accept a different role of being a practice player and scout team to help the team in other ways than I have in the past, and I'm still learning to do that.
Now, the decision and with you and the coaching staff decided, hey, look, you were going to go ahead and redshirt. What were the reasons behind in your mind why you thought it would be best to go this route?
I went to the coaches, I think, after our second game because I hadn't played in the first two, and I didn't want to go through a year without playing and not, getting better because I knew I could get better doing the Versa and extra stuff with the coaches. So I came here to play against the best schools, and if I wasn't going to do that this year, I thought it'd be best to redshirt and get better for next year.
I guess there's something that goes in your mind about you want to be at a better level than you are individually to be able to help the collective team concept.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You grew up here in the Austin area, obviously, as we mentioned. You went to Westlake. What was it like growing up around here? Your dad had been in football at Texas. You'd be going to Texas games. What was it like growing up around here as it shaped in your mind what you wanted to do with your collegiate choice?
It was a big part of my decision. I've got a bunch of memories at the Texas basketball camp and Texas games thinking, man, it'd be dream come true if I could play here, and certain memories with friends at games. So being able to play here is everything.
Well, we mentioned earlier about your teammate at Westlake, Will Baker, is going through his senior year, and we mentioned the fact that you guys are pretty close. He's going to come next year. How excited about him coming here are you? How regularly do you guys talk about when he's part of the program as well as you, and then you'll be a redshirt freshman, him being a true freshman next year?
We talked a bunch before his season started. I tried to give him his space so he could focus on, last couple months of high school and finish his regular season. But I'm incredibly excited to, work with him through his freshman year because I know the struggle and then the relationship we have with him coming in, I think will be a huge benefit.
He was also, of course, highly recruited all over. I mean, did you talk with him much during that whole process about what he was thinking about doing and processing in his mind before he ultimately decided this was where he wanted to be?
Yep, every now and then we'd connect on, how I thought of Texas and, what I thought fit him best. And I think our relationship definitely factored into it because when he first got to Westlake, we weren't as close. There was a little bit of animosity between us. But the last year we played against each other, I had the utmost respect for him and really enjoyed playing with him, looking forward to doing it again.
All right, you didn't think I was just going to let that word animosity slide by without saying, what do you mean by animosity there? Just because you guys are competitors or what?
The daily grind of practice when Will was younger, I don't think he, was really ready to compete every day like I really wanted him to. And, him being the player that he is now, I knew he could become that, and I just wanted to push him in the right direction. I'm not taking credit for, for what he's done. I just, really knew he could get to this point where he is in his basketball career.
Okay, so is it safe to say then, obviously, that you probably helped him along with some of the pushing, and that maybe he helped you along as well?
Yep, the battles we had in practice definitely shaped the players we are today.
Okay, which leads to the next obvious question. Do you foresee battles with him in practice when he arrives on campus next year?
Most definitely. He's a good player, and he's grown a lot. It'll be a lot of fun to play against another good player in practice. All
right, what do you like best since you grew up around this area? Now you are a student athlete on campus at the University of Texas. What do you like best about being a student athlete here?
That's a good question. Being a student athlete at Texas, I haven't given that much thought. I guess just kind of the pride you have playing for the University of Texas and the followers that it has.
Okay, and as a follow-up to that, in being a college student, are there things that you really, really like more than other things? Are there other things that are kind of like I deal with? Other than the Versa,
Other than the Versa climber, I guess it would just be the lack of time because, we go to school for 4 hours a day and then we're in the gym for another 4. So it's just tight on, being there in the classroom and in practice and then creating a little time for yourself so you're not worn out.
I've always heard student athletes say the number one challenge that they have is time management. It sounds like you're describing something similar.
Yeah, it's definitely safe to say that I'm still struggling with that and trying to figure out a good system for the next couple of years.
Do you find that your teammates have suggestions about these kinds of things? Teammates have suggestions about a lot of things, don't
They definitely have suggestions about how to handle things. Elijah Mitchell-Long has been a huge part of me figuring out the college process, and he continues to help me.
Okay, if it is true that maybe you have the best sense of humor on the team, who would have the second best sense of humor? Who's the other funny guy on the team?
Everyone's different. I mean, Andrew Jones has got some stuff in his bag. Dylan's funny too. Just kind of everyone has their own thing.
And it keeps everybody loose?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's great to have you. Appreciate you driving by.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Brock Cunningham with us. Coach Smart rejoins us when we continue with Longhorn Weekly here from Pluckers, the West Campus location on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn IMG Radio Network.